So before I start this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to my Twitch channel and my Discord server. Now, I'm going to have links to both of them in the description down below. I would really appreciate it if you could join my server and, drop a fat follow on my Twitch. I try to stream there every single day because I have summer break now, so I have a lot more time to, play the game and stuff. So if you have any questions, want to see me play, or just want to interact with me outside of, my YouTube videos, feel free to do so. And let's start with the video. Hello everybody. Alright, a lot of you have been asking for a video where I go over, the Shaco items that you can buy more in depth. So this is what I'm going to do this video. I'm going to go over almost every single item that Shaco can buy, at least 80 Assassin Shaco can buy, and I give my opinion on them. So yeah, this is going to be probably a little bit longer than the usual video. So let's begin, I guess. Obviously, jungle item, most people start with Hunter's Machete. It's the go-to item for basically every Shaco main. And since we want to get the Tiamat first item as soon as possible, we run the Rejuvenation Bead instead of the Potion. Now, what Extreme Person does, for example, or I'm not sure if he still does it, but he did do it, is he goes for the Hunter's Talisman, because it allows you to actually have mana in the first clear. But you have to make sure you go for refillable potion as well. He doesn't have health issues himself in terms when he goes Hunter's Talisman. I've noticed I have because I'm not good enough at spacing the damage from the boxes to proc down his Talisman on like every single minion. But yeah, it is viable. I wouldn't recommend it for especially newer Shaco mains. I would just stick to Hunter's Machete. It's way easier and yeah, it's just more efficient in my opinion. Also, if you go Hunter's Talisman, you really need the jungle item because otherwise your damage is going to be lackluster in the jungle. But yeah, as I said, I would recommend just going Hunter's Machete with Rejuvenation Bead. Now, as I mentioned before, obviously first item Tiamat. Insane Clear helps with the Electrocute combo. And so it's a really efficient item. The problem is it is really expensive. It has gotten a nerf in the past. So yeah, it kind of sucks. We now have to run Rejuvenation Beat and we can't get it the first back anymore, at least usually. Unless you go Inspiration, but that is, in my opinion, a waste of Runen. Then for boots, I would say Berserker Greaves are the choice here. In the early game, it is really nice to have the tag sweep boots. It allows you to proc your slow more often, helps you stick to your target better. The dueling power with these are insane too. Especially if you have Red Smite, which I'm gonna go over later. But I would say in terms of raw damage and what you want as an assassin, these are better. Also allows you to get your combo off faster. These boots feel really good. So yeah, my choice in like 90% of the games. Now sometimes I choose to go mobility boots. Mobility boots are pretty good too. It's just kind of annoying sometimes they get procced by like boxes you randomly put down, or yeah, it's just a little bit annoying. But these allow you to get around the map really quickly, which allows you to snowball the game really hard, especially early on. Sometimes this is very rare though, so I wouldn't copy this, but sometimes in like higher elo games where I get like a flash down in my first gank in bot lane and even get like a kill or two, I go Moby Boots and just camp that lane over and over again. It allows you to only get like 1 point in Q, which gives you more damage on your E, and it just allows you to spam gank a single lane more often. It's just really nice in certain games, but obviously Berserker Greaves are the choice here. Now, the most important item on Shaco is obviously Duskblade. It is the go-to item after Tiamat for every single game. Without Duskblade, you basically don't have damage, so this is, I mean, there's no point in even going over this item. It's just must buy. Now, what a couple of people do is, before they buy Duskblade, they go one of the Smite with the Warrior enchantment. Now, it is good, especially Red Smite is very efficient, very gold efficient. I think it's one of the most gold efficient items in the entire game. So, it is definitely a good item to buy. What you have to keep in mind though is, first of all, it delays your power spike, your Duskblade power spike, for another, like, I don't know, couple minutes. And second of all, it doesn't have the lethality, which I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it does help later on in the game, depending on how fast you get to your Duskblade. Now, this item is very, very good for dueling. If you play against a melee dueling jungler like, for example, Rengar, Kha'Zix, or Xin or any of, melee champion that is not a tank, this item is very good. But in my opinion, the Duskblade Rush is still better. I would honestly just recommend testing it out, seeing if you like Duskblade more, if you like Warrior more. Maybe you find a kind of style, you could say, I guess, where against this jungle you go that item, against this jungle you go that item. It's just up to you. I would test it. Blue Smite I wouldn't usually recommend. It's not that good. The Smite is just kind of bad. It does have the slow, but yeah, you only really need that for AP Shaco, to be honest. For AD Shaco, I would obviously 100% recommend the red smite instead of the blue smite if you go for the smite in general. Now, 1 second. Now, Trinity Force versus Ghostblade. This has been a huge discussion for a long time now. I think even 1 or 2 seasons. And I've myself been swapping between the two. Lately, though, I did some math and I did some testing, and Ghostblade does more damage. Before you come screaming at me, though, you have to keep in mind this item is first of all cheaper, which makes it a little bit more efficient in my opinion. And it has not as many stats though as Trinity Force, but I've tested it and it does more damage, quite a lot more damage actually. So because this item is cheaper and it does more damage, it fits my playstyle more, because my playstyle is basically one-shotting somebody and just getting the fuck out. So that is really helpful. Now, what you do lose out on is 10% cooldown reduction, the mana, the health, the attack speed, the on-hit damage, movement speed. Well, not the movement speed actually, because you get more. But yeah, you lose out on a couple of stats, which for some people isn't really a problem, especially Shaco. Shaco doesn't really need those stats. Like, sure, he can use them. They're pretty neat, but he doesn't really need them. Like, they're not really necessary. But I would say Ghostblade is, in my opinion, and in Master's opinion, the better item. And it also has an insanely good active and passive, with which gives you insane movement speed. In combination with Moby Boots, this is crazy. It's slightly overkill, but you can get to targets that are so far away so quickly. It is crazy. You have to try that out sometime. It's actually pretty fun. But I would say Ghostblade is stronger than Trinity Force. Trinity Force is more of a, especially in lower elo, a like 100% solo carry build, where after one-shotting, you have to be useful still and have to get some DPS out, which Trinity Force definitely can do, because obviously it has the attack speed and the phage and the more cooldown reduction. So yeah, that's my opinion on the entire Ghostblade versus Trinity Force discussion. I would say go Ghostblade. Lower elo, or if you feel like you have to solo carry a lot of games, I would say go Trinity Force. Now, this is the part that most people probably have been looking for. All the different items you can buy on Shaco. Now, you can see those are quite a lot, I would say. Those might not be all, but those are the ones that I actually have built before. Other ones are just random items that I just wouldn't recommend, or that I haven't played yet. If you feel like any item is missing, make sure to leave a comment down below. Tell me which item is missing. Give me your opinion on it. And yeah, if you have any questions, just ask me. I'll answer. So the most important item on this list, or one of the most important items, is the Last Whisper items, or other Last Whisper items. So LDR is a really strong item. It gives you 35% armor penetration, at least this one. This one only gives 25%. But it also gives 45-80. Now 35% is crazy. This item allows you to shred even Ninja Tabi and GA abusers, with obviously the handicap of not having damage in our kit. But yeah, it really allows you to just ignore a lot of armor. And even against tanks, this item is pretty good. I've been killing tanks with this item. Not one-shotting them, obviously, but, slowly chipping them down. in a couple of auto attacks, and it is just a really strong item. I would recommend building this item if the enemy team buys Ninja Tabis and like GA and Zonias, and if your team is like 80 heavy. What I've been doing too is if my entire team is 80 and I see like 5 Ninja Tabis on enemy team right away, you can build this item after Duskblade. It sounds crazy, but it actually works. It is pretty fucking nasty if you think about it, but it works. So hey, just give it a try. Now the Mortal Reminder is pretty good against stuff like Soraka or shit like Yumi or Vladimir or any champion that you want to kill, but that just heals back up. So yeah, pretty simple in my opinion. Now GA is also a really strong item, especially into enemy like 80 comps when they have a lot of 80 because of the armor. And also, if you go in and try to one-shot somebody and they kind of reverse one-shot you or kill you afterwards, you still have the passive up. And depending on how much cooldown reduction you have, and if you got your Q proc, like the cooldown reduction proc, then you can either Q out or like R and then Q out after the R, if you still have your R, obviously. If not, you might be dead, but usually you can Q out depending on how fast you got killed. GA is, as I said, really strong item. I would probably recommend getting this as a 3rd item or 4th item, depending on if you need LDR or not. I've been not using it that often anymore. I prefer Infinity Edge, which I'm gonna go over soon. But yeah, the choice is yours. Just this is my opinion, guys. You keep that in mind. This is my opinion. You need to make your own opinion. That is very important. You always have to have your own opinion, and you always have to test these items yourself and see for yourself if you like them or don't. If you don't like them. So yeah, this is just me, giving you a slight hint at what I think is good and what isn't. But you still need to test them yourself and see what's good or what isn't. Now, the Titanic or Ravenous debate is also a big debate. In my opinion, it's very simple. Titanic Hydra is the better item, 100%. It gives you a auto attack reset, which is very strong in the late game if you have a lot of AD and you just want to one-shot somebody. It also gives you health, 450, which is quite a lot actually. And yeah, it's just a really strong item in my opinion. If you if you slowly transition into the crit build later on in like a very, very long game, where you can sell items and get new ones, like, and transition over to crit build, this item is insanely strong because it allows you to get 2 crits off, potentially 2 crits, in like 1 auto attack. So that's fucking disgusting. Now, Ravenous Hydra is pretty good too. I usually build this if I either need the lifesteal to stay alive in a team fight, or if my plan is to split push in the first place instead of team fighting all the time. Sometimes there's a shock you on a split push, and if you're matching somebody that has sustain themselves, you do need some sustain too. And this item just has, in my opinion, the better wave clear. You can also build this if you don't want to split push, but I think Titanic Hydra is just better. But yeah, as I said, make your own opinion. Now, this is my favorite item at the moment. I've been running a different build. I might do a guide on this sometime later. But what I've been running is Duskblade into Ghostblade into Infinity Edge. That is a disgustingly strong build. Because Infinity Edge is such a beautiful item. Now, why I like this build is first of all, the burst is crazy. If you get one of those crits from 25%, oh boy, the enemy AD carry is gonna melt even through Phantom Dancer. If you don't, you still have the increased passive damage, and it still gives 80%. 80. So it's a crazy item in my opinion. Now, why I also like this build is because if you don't manage to get Infinity Edge, you can still transition over to Guardian Angel, because they both build out of, can you see this? Yeah. Because they both build out of BF Sword. I usually only go this build if I get the BF Sword. If I can only afford like a pickaxe, I usually go into LDR. Or sometimes Edge of Night, but I don't like Edge of Night too much. But yeah, Infinity Edge, crazy burst. Trust me guys, you have to try that sometime. This is my new core build. It's nasty, man. It's it's pretty nasty. Now, Infinity Edge, I would say, is my yeah, it's a core item for me, so I would definitely recommend you guys building this. Now, because I'm going IE, I obviously want more crit chance, which I'm gonna get from one of these three items. Let's go over Essence Reaver first. This is usually my third crit item, so I build it after one of these two. But this item is also very nuts. It has 70-80, which is really good. 25% crit chance, which we definitely need. And now this is the crazy part. It also gives 20% cooldown reduction and a little bit of mana you get when you auto-attack somebody, which is not that helpful. But the 20% cooldown reduction is insane. And then the crit and the 82, damn, that item is, whew, that's a dream, man. And then in combination with attack speed item, that is, trust me, guys, that build is nasty late game. If you get to a point where it's like where you have like 3 crit items, this build is nasty. But for attack speed, I would usually recommend Static Shift. The good part is the passive that I'm pretty sure can also crit. The passive from Static Shift is magic damage, which means it ignores ninja tabis and shit like that, or armor in general. So that's really helpful. And the benefit from Phantom Dancer is it doesn't give as much attack speed, but you have the passive, which makes it a little bit easier to stick to targets, and obviously the fucking annoying passive, which gives you a 600 damage shield for 2 seconds. 600 damage shield. That is nasty. It's like a mini version of Sterox, in my opinion. But it also gives attack speed, crit chance, and movement speed. So yeah, in my opinion, it's the better version of Sterox for an assassin. Now, whether or not to go on the other item, in my opinion, Phantom Dancer is, I haven't built it that much actually. It's just that this item, I built it against the Syndra once. I was like really pissed off on stream, and I decided to just build this item out of tilt because somebody mentioned it in chat. And this item actually just kept me alive from the entire Syndra R. That was so funny. I was like, I put my hands off the keyboard because I thought I died, but I survived with 200 HP. And I didn't realize for like 2 seconds. I was looking at chat and I was like, oh shit, wait, I'm still alive. So this item is pretty strong. I mean, we know this item is strong because every fucking AD carry builds it and we hate it and we despise AD carries for building this item. But honestly, if you can't defeat them, join them. So just build this item if you want to. It's pretty good in the crit build currently. Without the crit build, I wouldn't recommend this item because there's just no point. If you only get it for the shield, I don't know. I would rather go Edge of Night or Sterox, or just finish the Titanic Hydra if you want like the shield, which you can also say is HP. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on the crit build. Zonya's, some people like this item. I don't, because I think that either Edge of Night or GA do its job better. It depends what you want to do. Do you want to go in and just bait people, like to engage on you, and then just, I don't know, are out? I guess it's I don't really like this item because it first of all gives AP. It does give armor, which is kind of nice into heavy AD comms. I guess it allows you to dodge like an initial combo from a Zed or like a Rengar or anything like that. But it is a very, very rare item that you can build in very few situations, I would say. So I guess it can be good. I just never happened to be in that situation where it would actually be efficient. Yeah, that's just my opinion. So Maw is, in my opinion, actually a pretty good item. I think it's underrated. Uh, I guess the stats aren't that great in terms of, like raw stats. The 50 damage is a little bit low. 50 magic resist is pretty nice. The 10% cooldown reduction is also pretty nice. But what I liked about this item is, after testing it a bit, is the passive. Now, this is especially good into stuff like Syndra or anything that tries to burst you down. And you have to make sure though the enemy team has to have a higher AP, like a couple of APs in their champion, so you don't waste the magic resist. But what this item allows you to do is block burst from a mage, And then if you are on top of them, you can lifesteal it back up, because this item gives you spell vamp and lifesteal, which is pretty nasty in my opinion. You also gain 20 attack damage. So yeah, it lasts until you are out of combat. So in my opinion, a very strong item. As I said, into a burst mage or any mage that just kind of wants to kill you and that, you know, procs the passive and doesn't have any damage anymore, so you can, you know, just farm up and heal up and shit and kill them. It's a really strong item. I would see if you can play with it. I would just test it out a couple of games. You obviously have to make sure you're playing against AP. But in my opinion, the passive is just oof. It's, oh man, that passive is really nice. So Edge of Night is, I don't know. So many people like this item. I just really don't. Some people go triple lethality, which is pretty bad in my opinion, because Edge of Night is just as a third item. I don't know. There's so many better items in my opinion. But yeah, you get a little bit of health, you get a little bit of 80, you get lethality, and what most people probably like about this item is the active, which is a shield. You have to channel for 1 second, and it lasts for 7 seconds. Also has very low cooldown, which is pretty nice. Now, I guess this item is pretty good if you want to team fight. This item would actually be pretty good for me, because when I try to jump in a team fight, I randomly get hit by like one spell that CCs me and then everybody kills me. So in theory, this item is pretty good. I just don't like it, honestly. I just prefer every single other item in this game over Edge of Night. It is pretty good, but as I said, triple lethality is pretty bad. So I don't know. It's just a love-hate relationship, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't recommend going this item unless you really want the active. But it's pretty good into Karthus. But that's about it. I mean, you can block the Karthus R with Edge of Night, so that's really useful. But I don't know. I just don't like that item for some reason. It's not bad, but it's not good. I don't know. It's weird. I'm sorry. So the next item, which I've never built before because I don't see the point, is Death Stance. It gives 80/80, which is pretty nice. 10% cooldown reduction, and a passive that allows you to heal for damage you deal. It's pretty good, I guess. I just don't see the point in building this over other items. As I said, if you want the lifesteal from this, then I would just go Ravenous Hydra. You do lose out on the passive that transforms damage into a dot. I don't really think you need that one, to be honest. So if you want if you want the lifesteal, just go for Hydra. I mean, you lose out on 10% cooldown reduction, but you probably have 40% anyways. I don't know. I've never built this item. I don't see why I would or why I should. So I don't know. I guess you have to test it yourself. Now, Spirit Shojin is another item that I don't understand why people build it. It's just really bad. Now, the stats aren't bad. Like, you get 60/80, which is good. 20% cooldown reduction, which is definitely awesome. The health is, I mean, we'll take it. But the passive, man. I've tested this item when it came out, when it was still Essence, the old Essence Reaver. I tested the Spear of Shojin. I've played builds that are built for Spear of Shojin, and I just didn't feel it, man. I just didn't. Like, it's weird because, so what Spear of Shojin does is, after you press R, your auto attacks reduce the remaining cooldown of your abilities by, I think, a percentage, by like 20%, yeah. And the thought process behind this is, you can spam your E, and after, killing somebody, like doing your auto attack combo, you can Q out again because the cooldown gets reduced. But I just never managed to do that. I don't know. It's just, it's weird. I never managed to Q in, kill somebody, and Q out again, because I either one-shot them or I pretty much get killed. That's just my playstyle. And I just really don't see the point in this item, honestly. But hey, maybe you guys have more success with it. But it's, I don't know. I've played, I think, 10 games or so, and in every single game of those, I just it just didn't feel well. I don't know. It didn't feel good. So Stark's Gauge is another item that is, I don't know. It's pretty good actually. It's pretty good. It has this nice shield. Um, that is definitely helpful. But that's all it has really. It's able to soak up like Syndra R or any heavy burst R or like any burst in general. It isn't only limited to AP damage, but you do gain 50% of your base attack damage as bonus attack damage, but that isn't really too helpful. It's, I don't know, you do gain tenacity when it procs, so that's, I guess, helpful, but it's not what an assassin needs, honestly. It's, as an assassin, you want to have damage, and like being tanky isn't that important. And all these other items give damage, while this item just gives health. So yeah, I don't know. It's not that great. Stormrazor, just don't. If you're building Stormrazor, you're trolling. Don't build Stormrazor. If you really want my opinion on why, it's fucking garbage. I tested it. I was like 14-0, and I was trolling in a rank game because it was so easy. And I built this item because I felt like it, because I thought, oh, you know, attack damage, on the damage is pretty nice, attack speed. And I went the I went Sack Shift as well. Just don't. It's garbage. It's utter garbage. Don't build this item. It's really bad. Yeah, just don't. Now, Black Cleaver is, I don't know, this item in theory is pretty good. Now, it allows you to shred armor pretty quickly. It gives health, 20% cooldown reduction, and 40 armor, 40 AD. The passive is for each attack you do against an enemy champion, you reduce their armor by a percentage. I think up to like 25%. Yeah, 24%. Which is pretty nice. I would probably recommend this in a game where assassinating the enemy carries isn't that important. Where you have the feeling that you maybe need to kill the frontline to keep your AD carry or your carries alive. This is a very situational item, but you can probably still one-shot people with this build, like if you build this after the core build. But I think this is more to shred a bruiser as well. Like either you kill the enemy frontline, or you try to 1v1 a bruiser. I think this is what this item is for. It's definitely not for one-shotting. So I haven't built it myself, but I know somebody who likes to build it. But yeah, it's, I don't see anyone building this, so you probably won't be building it either. So yeah, it's just my thoughts on it. And then Deadman's Plate, the last item. Pretty nice if the enemy team is very AD heavy. It doesn't give any stats that assassins really need, but if you really need the tankiness, if you really want the tankiness, this at least has movement speed and a on-hit damage, which is pretty decent, I would say. It also has a slow, so that helps. But yeah, I honestly wouldn't recommend building this item. But yeah, it's not too bad. It has its places, I guess. Now, that is all I would say for AD Shaco. All the items you can build, in my opinion on them. Yeah, if I miss any items, let me know in the comments down below. And I guess that's about it, man. So I would say the quick rundown again is Hunter's Machete, Rejuvenation Bead. You can build this. It's not that strong though. Tiamat into Berserker Greaves into Duskblade into Ghostblade. Trinity Force don't build unless you have to 1v9 a game in lower elo and you can afford it and gold doesn't matter. Smite items, if you like them, build them. I would say test them out. I personally don't like it too much. If you're behind, they're pretty good, but yeah, as I said, it's preference. Out of these items, LDR, GA, Infinity Edge, Titanic Hydra. If you go the crit build, choose either one of those, and then Essence Reaver. Moss pretty good. Edge of Night is okay if you're against Karthus or if you like the item, and the rest is just mediocre. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any recommendations for the next video, or if you want like the AP version of this, or anti-tank doesn't really work anymore, but yeah, if you want the AP version of this or the hybrid version of this, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you have any other recommendations or video ideas, I'm open to anything, then let me know. And I would say I'll see you next time. Bye bye.